Welcome back to the channel and stay tuned to see how I get on in week 1 of my Valencia Marathon build. So it is now week 1 as I'm 10 weeks out from the Valencia Marathon, and what better time to start this new series really, where my main focus is that race day at the end, Valencia, that blue carpet finish that I did last year, and my aim really is to do better than last year. So last year ended in quite a disappointing for me 3:03 after trying all year to do a sub 3, so I'll be going out this year with a bit better training, a bit more consistent approach, and aiming for something under that 3-hour mark. For those of you who've been watching the channel for the past month or so will know that my focus over September has been really to build my mileage back up to make a good base for marathon training, with a couple of races sprinkled in there. So I've worked on a few targets at getting my 5k speed back, which is now back down in below 19 minutes, and I've reached up to quite a respectable weekly mileage of around 65 miles last week. So I'm at a good place really, with my long run being 18 miles last week. I've got a bit of a head start going into marathon training, and I won't be building from nothing. I've had to be creative again with how I'm training, not because of a race coming up this weekend, but because I'm away Friday, Saturday, Sunday on a stag do. So I've moved my long run forwards this week, like I did a couple of weeks ago. So I'll just run you through how this week has looked so far. So on a Monday was a 7.5 mile easy run with Andy and Robbie. This was plus 8 minute miles pace. Since I'd done the 20-mile run, sorry, the 18-mile run on the Sunday the day before that, so it's good to get out there. My legs held up pretty well from that, and I wanted to get a session in on Tuesday night, so I made the effort to go to the track, as I've been doing my sessions probably for the last 3 or 4 months really, just from my doorstep for ease of time. So it's not been on the best terrain. It's always good to get down the track, so I did a really good session with Emma. Obviously she was running a little bit quicker paces than I was, quite a bit quicker actually. So the session was 1k 4 400s, 1k 4 400s, and then finishing off with another 1k. So the 1ks I ran at a 6 minute mile pace, just under for some of them, so that was a good sign for me, because last week when I was doing my session on the course at Coronation Park, I was struggling to break 6 minute mile pace for 400 metre reps, so it's a really good sign there. And all 8 of the 400 metres I did were bang on 80 seconds, so 80 seconds is pushing at about 5:20 pace, which is a lot faster than even my PB 5k pace, so a really positive sign there. I could get the legs moving a bit faster. We then move on to the present, the now. So I'm currently on the Cloud Trail, so I've come after a day in the office. I work not too far from Cloud Trail, and it's a good opportunity to get a long run in. I finished at 4 o'clock, so quick turnaround. I'm just going to run as long as I can really until it gets dark. So my limiting factors really are the light and my own fitness. So I want to push obviously over about 15 miles, but if I can get to 20, that'll be great. It'll be a real good sign of where my fitness is at the moment. I'm looking forward to having Robbie join me for this, so second run of the week with Robbie. He's got about 10 or 12 tonight, hopefully at an easy pace, so keep me company for up until about 15 to 16 miles of this long run. So let's see how we get on. At the end of Wednesday's session, it was the light that beat me in the end, so I managed to run 16 miles, got back to the car with Robbie and felt that was enough for tonight, as the dark was creeping in. I was quite happy with that at 7.50 per mile for my long run. So Wednesday night I've already got my long run done. I've already got my main session of the week done. So I'm shifting everything forward because I was away at the weekend. So To recover from this Thursday morning, I went out for just over 5 miles, a recovery run at a very, very easy pace. So this was more towards the 9 minute per mile pace. It was about 8:40s in the end. So just a recovery run on Thursday morning. I had coaching after work, so I coached my session. And then just before coaching, I'd done a 5k tempo. So I managed to sneak in a 5k tempo around Coronation Park, which is where the park run is. I did 2012 at park run. I did a similar sort of loop, but it's probably a little bit of an easier loop that I did, and did the tempo in 1955. So to do a 1955 tempo on sort of tired legs, really, having done the 16 miles the night before and a session already that week, perhaps a little bit too much load in the 1 week, but knowing that I was going to have a few days off to recover from this when I wasn't running it the weekend, it was a really good session, and nice to get a little bit of quality into my week there. I was away at the weekend on a mystery location stag do, so we did actually find out in the morning that it was in Belfast. So from Friday morning, all we knew was we got to be at the airport for 6 a.m, so that meant a really early get up and very unlikely to get a run in. But as I'd woken up just slightly before my alarm, I managed to get out for 30 minutes at 3:30 in the morning, which was just a little bit of extra mileage. Just got my legs moving. Probably would have benefited from a little bit more sleep, but once I was up, I couldn't get back to sleep again for the next sort of hour or so that I'd actually have to be up for. So got 4.5 miles in the morning that day, and we weren't getting back until late Sunday. So that was it for the week. It was a Monday to Friday, a little bit all over the place this week, but I still think that I managed to get 2 decent sessions in. I got a decent enough long run at 16 miles and a weekly total of about 45 miles. So a little bit down on what I do, but to get that all in really 4 days was quite adaptive for me. Really pleased with how it went. Not something I'd like to do every week, but sometimes we get these curveballs thrown at us and we've just got to do the best with what we've got. So that was it for the week. 45 miles, a couple of sessions and a long run. And this is now 9 weeks to go until the Valencia Marathon. So please stay tuned every week where I'll be providing an update of how my training is going, how I'm feeling in the build to go for that sub-3, possibly even lower marathon, and see you in next week's video.